Cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to FF episode 2435. Mike Matthews. I tried to do a daily podcast this week.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And Monday and Tuesday got a little bit busy. And I had to do some things. And I had to do this and that. And I had to spring into action. Though summer's almost here, I had to get that bug zapper on. It's clear. The bugs are coming after me, everybody. The bugs, the mosquitoes in
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Podcastro Valley, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth is where we are. And
Mike's
mosquitoes
Daily
everywhere.
Podcast.
So what I've decided is I'm hooked on British shows. I don't know if you know this about me. If you've listened to this podcast before, you know that yours truly, Mike Matthews, likes British shows. Do I like Doctor Who? Yes, I'm very intrigued by the latest regeneration. I forget his name, but he is a black Scottish actor from South Africa. And I forget his name, but it should be interesting to see what happens with the show. I did not like how they messed up the whole canon of the Doctor. The Doctor was supposedly only like 14 incarnations if you count the War Doctor. And if you count the other Doctor that showed up last season, the black woman, I forget her name, but she also was the Doctor. So 16 maybe. It turns out no, there's like millions of Doctors. And they've just opened it all up, so we have to live with that now. But the latest Doctor that the BBC cares about, because it is owned by the BBC, so they do whatever they want. I'll do what I want. Is going to feature this new actor. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. But I have been watching a lot of British stuff, so.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The latest was called Murder in Provence. And it features Nancy Carroll. She's been in some shows like Midsummer Murders and Father Brown. That's right, which features the lead actor of Father Brown was also on Doctor Who, played Rory's dad. But the point is, what I had trouble with Murder in Provence is you're watching it, and after a while you realize these are British people, but they're supposed to be French. You're supposed to just have that disbelief going, and Basil hates the disbelief. Suspending the disbelief, the suspension of disbelief. Basil is not into that. The late great Basil the Boxer, everybody. One more thing. That's right. So the suspension of disbelief is that even though they're speaking with British accents, you're supposed to be thinking that they're speaking French. That's what I didn't realize it. I'm like, how come they're in France and they're speaking about all these places in France like they know it and they live there and all that? I thought, oh, these are British people who've moved to France and they're all part of the police department. So, no, that's not it. You're supposed to pretend that they're all French. That is similar to if we had a bunch of American actors pretend they're British and not even do a British accent. Now, what do we do? Do we want them to do fake, awful British accents and sound like John Cleese from the Monty Python Holy Grail? No, because we are French. We don't want to do that. So what do? We go, Mike, thank you for watching that for us on BritBox so that I don't have to. But hey, I wanted to cover something here as we are here at Cafe Anyway, the podcast picture today, by the way, and I always use my podcast picture as a jumping off point. The jumping off point for today is of a lovely sunset that I saw on Sunday evening as this week began. A crazy week where, I told you about a coworker that got into a car accident. Now another one has gotten into a car accident, and all I can tell you is that people are driving crazy. The stock market is crazy. People are driving crazy. Today, apparently, stocks fell so low, it was as bad as the Black Monday of 1987. When I heard that, I said, what? What? And supposedly just caused by the expectations of what the different businesses were making. Their earnings reports were so bad, apparently, that it caused it to happen. Now, I don't know if this is it feels temporary, but I am not someone that knows a whole lot about the stock market. I leave that for the professionals. But one of the things was Target couldn't get all of their shipments out, and they were having an issue with that, sort of their own version of the supply chain issues. So we'll see. We've had some bad days recently, and then the next days were really good. This only really concerns those of you who invest in the stock market or have a 401k. The good thing is you could buy stocks that have dropped a lot in value that are usually super too expensive to buy, and then you will have those. And when they start to skyrocket, you'll have that. But that was my little... And yes, I was listening to business talk. I work for a business talk station. I'm not on the business talk station, but I oversee it, so I hear a lot of this. It's a tough thing. I leave it to the professionals. But it is fascinating. And that's why there's Bloomberg, and that's why people are so obsessed with it. So somebody that you may know listens to business radio or business podcasts using wireless earbuds. They are one of the trendiest smartphone accessories. Most in-ear headphones are compact yet comfortable. They stay in your ears during exercise. They are completely cable-free, and they sound great. I actually, as we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. I don't think I've ever worn any of those. And nobody's going to share that unless they want to be gross and share their earwax. But wireless earbuds are ideal for streaming music, podcasts, audiobooks. And if a call comes in, most have a microphone to chat. And these practical peripherals can also be used with tablets, laptops, and other Bluetooth-enabled devices, and such as smartwatches and some smart TVs. If you're in the market for a new pair, you should consider the following. This from Mark Saltzman, who writes for the Costco Connection. Yes, I got it from the Costco Connection. It's my plug for Costco. Now my slug for Costco. Put Costco's on my doorstep, so they're not so far to get to, and the parking isn't as bad. Can you imagine living in the parking lot of a Costco? I'm sure there are people living in a Costco parking lot, although usually the security guards tell you to leave. But yeah, they're all over. So, while earbuds with ANC, that's active noise cancellation, they cost more, they're ideal for blocking out ambient sounds. They accomplish this through the use of tiny microphones that hear incoming noise. The microphones are connected to a processor that generates a sound wave with the opposite polarity to match the incoming noise, thus canceling it out. The number of hours earbuds last between charges is a key consideration, especially if you use them while working. Be sure that they have at least 5 hours of music playback between charges. Be aware that when earbuds are active noise cancellation, when they're in that mode, when they're enabled, they won't last as long as when that is turned off. Most wireless earbuds include a charging case with its own battery to top up the power when you're out. Some charging cases offer 15 to 20 hours of extra battery life. Some earbuds let you activate your nearby smartphone personal assistant by saying a wake word or tapping one of the earbuds. Then you can ask a question or give a command That's Siri, Google Assistant, Alexa, all do that. And make sure that the earbuds you buy are water and sweat resistant. Who knows when you're going to get caught in the rain or when you sweat a lot when you're working out. Some earbuds also have a handy aware or transparency mode, which, unlike active noise cancellation, lets you hear more of what's going on around you. And that is very important when you're walking or running outdoors. I would even go as far as to say, don't listen to this podcast when you're working out. That is so dangerous. And I've gotten into trouble myself when I used to walk Basil the Boxer, the late great Basil the Boxer. I would sometimes be walking like on a trail, and all of a sudden there's a bicyclist going by, a dirt bicyclist, which on the trails of Podcasture Valley, you will often find bicyclists on their dirt bikes. But here's the thing is, they have got to obey the rules. They've got to let you know when they're coming around the corner. It is totally, the ball is in their court. You have the right of way if you are walking. Just so you know, you should not be afraid of them. You should be aware of them, because there's always going to be some idiot. And just as there are idiots out there in the cars that are rear-ending people. Someone I know got rear-ended, and they're minding their own business, and all of a sudden someone who wasn't paying attention hit them. So be careful out there. Just be aware of the idiots. But wireless earbuds may sound amazing and have a long battery life, but that doesn't mean anything if they're not comfortable to wear. To accomplish this, some companies include various ear tip sizes that you can swap out. Others employ a one-size-fits-all approach. Be sure to read up. When the fit is snug, they will not only stay in your ears better, but you will experience better noise cancellation, and the music will have a richer bass sound. There you go. Okay. So speaking of water, those who believe in Jesus, one of the things that Jesus did in Matthew, the book of Matthew, the 14th chapter of Matthew in specificity, was he walked on water. Jesus did. This is the story. Let me read it to you real quick. And this also has to do with what was the old joke that somebody said, that there was a boat, a bunch of guys in a boat, and one of the guys gets up and walks to the shore, and somehow the joke is that the people in the boat fall in the water, and it's not because they had faith or they didn't have faith. It was because they didn't know where the stepping stones were. But Jesus knew where the stepping stones were. No, Jesus, this is what it says. Immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side. He was trying to get away from a crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from the land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. And this is Matthew chapter 14, verse 25. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water too, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, you don't see wind. That was when he heard the wind. Anyway, somehow the wind freaked him out. He was afraid and began to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. And now comes a phrase that I have used many times when people, you know how people are just so staunch, like they believe everything. Like this is something that really I've been thinking about a lot lately because of the pandemic. And things are a lot better now, even though, as I mentioned in past podcasts, I know I've also, as well as knowing a lot of people who've gotten into car crashes, I've known a lot of people who've had COVID. Now, they caught COVID after being vaccinated, but they still had symptoms. They still had issues. Some had light colds. Some had heavy colds, heavy sore throat, and all the rest manifestations. But back in the early days when we were what is this pandemic, what is this disease, what is this COVID, there was every theory under the sun. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't, every rule. And I heard very reputable news organizations, although Donald Trump would say none of them are reputable, but I heard some that would be considered reputable, I'd say, by most people, say the most ridiculous things. Like, oh, you just can't beat it. You're going to get it. You know, just say, like, it'll sneak in through your windows at night and get you and all this stuff. So it came down to, what did the doctors say? What did the scientists say? Yes, follow the science and all of that. But here's what it came down to. And Jesus said it right here. Here he goes. He says, "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." When they had crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him, begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched it were healed. But yeah, we sometimes doubt too much, don't we? We're too skeptical. Us of little faith. And, you know, maybe not, it's not faith in Jesus. Maybe it's faith in what you know, and that you believe in yourself, and that you've gotten through bad things before. You'll get through them again. Just something to think about. Hey, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth with all the mosquitoes. Look who's here.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Oh my gosh, that was really beautiful what you're talking about with, like, that stuff about the boat, Mike Matthews.
Yes. Now, don't just get out of a boat and start walking you won't walk on water. Even though Eddie Money had a song called "If I Could Walk on Water, I'd walk right back to you. My love is true. Na 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 na."
Who's Eddie Money, Mike Matthews?
He was this guy who sang big songs. He had a couple of hits. "Take Me Home Tonight."
Oh, I've heard that one, Mike Matthews.
Excellent. Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Yes, Mike, that was very profound about the boat and people falling into the water and finding stepping stones and having faith. That's another 80s song. Gotta have faith, faith, the faith. I've gotta have a clapping noise. Excellent. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Tell me what you think. 336MM Daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM is in Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast has been sometimes. But I get interrupted. All kinds of stuff happen. People get rear-ended. People get stuck looking at Eddie Money songs like "Baby, Hold On to Me. Whatever will be, will be. I can see the love in your eyes. I've got 2 tickets to paradise. I think I'm in love. And I'm looking up. Oh, peace in our times. They were gonna build down the walls. In a minute. Peace in our time. What's this other one? Oh, somehow I'll get by. Somehow I'll get by. I just want to fall in love again. And I mentioned that song because I met the guy from Big House. Monty Byron wrote that song, and I think he wrote it. He definitely had something to do with the song. He's in the music video for it. Got to meet him when he was part of the country band known as Big House. Country blues band. Check them out. I think they had 3 or 4 albums. They were quite nice. Very snazzy. And that was my little music section. All right, I hear this time to wrap it up as the sound effects from outside slowly wane away. And you can tell me what you think. 336MM Daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM isn't Mike Matthews. Daily isn't what this podcast tries to be, but gets interrupted.
Call now. 336MM Daily.
And you can also email me, MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. And with more, it's A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!